Yes, can you turn down the music? Thank you. Yes, can you turn down? If you guys give me a second here, we'll get started. I want to make sure you guys hear me too. If you guys give me a second here, we'll get started. We'll get started here soon, guys. Just trying to get this loaded up. Thanks. All right, let me know if you guys can hear me too. I can see feedback on the mic, but I know sometimes it messes up. Thank you, Matthew. And like I said, we'll get started here in just a minute. Just waiting for a few people to get on. I did get started late too, so apologize for that. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, a few other people are going to be joining us here as we get along. But what I wanted to do is kind of go over. Oh, hold on a sec. Is this actually broadcasting? It is. Okay. Looked like my original link wasn't working. That's weird. Looks like it's kind of splintered as far as the followers are concerned. I have like the one link that I sent out doesn't look like it is letting people in. So give me just a second here. And I'll be able to get this out on the page. Sorry about that, guys. Acting a little odd, the stream. Anyway, we're going to make this brief anyway because there's a lot to be figured out with this storm still. Even though we are 48 hours or 40 hours out from the onset of it. But what I wanted to show you here is, initially going in, this is a southeast storm. Now, it wasn't before, which I'll show here in a minute, but as you move along and you look at the evolution of the storm, at one time, this was going to be a non-event just 3 days ago, probably 2 days ago. And now it's turned into an 8 to 12 inch event right along southeast Virginia, making its way into Wakefield as well, along the Richmond area, 4 to 6, 6 to 8 even possible as well. So that's a significant northwest shift in just a matter of days. Actually, within 20 hours, at one point we had a 100-mile shift, and that's something I'm going to get into. One of the interesting things to note about that is that right now there is basically a shift in how the jet stream is handling the system. Whereas before it was suppressing it to the north, you can see here in this graphic, if I just open up this here real quick, you can see here where this orange line represents, it starts further south at one point and then makes its way north. That's a good indicator that the suppression to the north is alleviating and allowing moisture to come up northwest, whereas before it was further south. So that's important to note. This is the latest Euro, and look, as you can see for Northern Virginia, there's really nothing to talk about right now. But this gradient that's here, that's 2 to that 7 inch range right in this region, this was in North Carolina on yesterday's runs. So this is quite a difference in just, again, like I said, within 20 hours. Quite a large leap northwest. And to kind of give you that idea of just how much of a northwest trend we're looking at. So what I want you to look at here real quick is this was Thursday's NAM, okay? And this represents a short-term high-resolution model. So it can only go out to about 68 hours. And here you can see in this region, right on the North Carolina border is where it had the majority of the snowfall. Actually, in some areas here, 13 to 13.7 inches. But this was on Thursday early morning, so early this morning's run. And then midday, all of a sudden, the totals kind of went down a little bit, but notice that significant shift north, right? If I back out here a little bit, you can see this a little better. Go back to 6 hours prior, right? It's further south. You can see that shift come up, and then notice it once again and amplified another 6 hours later. So there is a significant shift northwest with the NAM model. I wanted to represent that, and I'm going to move over to the GFS model, and it is even more dramatic. So this is Wednesday's run. Look at this. This is just pretty much a non-event. I mean, it's an event for people down in the southeast, but for people here in Virginia and whatnot, it's pretty much nothing's going on. And then 6 hours later, I'd say 12 hours, let's do 12 hours later, there's a pretty significant bump of moisture making its way up the coast. Now suddenly you get Southern Virginia into the discussion, very southern tip of it. Then early Thursday's run, all of a sudden this bullseye has grown tremendously in the amount of moisture, and also Virginia is now clearly in play. Parts of the southeast now no longer in play, and you have this wide swath of precipitation. And look at the last 4 runs. So this was at 6 this morning. Look at that amplification. Some areas in here showing 15 inches of snow. I don't think you can really see that. I'll try my best. 14, 15 inches of snow. And then this was the noon run. Once again, amplified and a significant shift north. Let me show that to you again. Zoom out so you can see it. As you can see here, this is the border at noon's run for the GFS. Notice it has gone down. Bring it back to noon. There's the shift north. And then you do it again at 18Z, which is 6 p.m. Not much has changed, but now you've got a 15-inch band that's popped back up in this area. And now parts southeast have just completely fallen off. And now suddenly half of Virginia is looking at least a 6 to 7 inch event. That's a pretty significant jump in one day. Anyone that follows these models like I do, or just for fun, that's a pretty significant shift. So I want to also show you why that is. Why is that shifting north? Why do I see this trend actually continuing through tomorrow? And there's a pretty simple answer for that. One part of that is this. So this is, what was it? Okay, this was 6 o'clock today's run. And I'm going to show you previous runs of the GFS to really show you where this low is and how much it has actually shifted. So you can see here, previous run, a little bit of a shift out east. So it brought it further to closer to the coast in the last run. But look at the previous run here, further south, even further south, and non-existent. And this run was yesterday at noon. That is a significant shift. I mean, you go yesterday at noon when it was showing pretty much a weak event, nothing to really take notice to suddenly that low pressure center becoming a little stronger and north, a little stronger in north, again a little stronger in north, once again a little more amplified in north, and then we are where we are today. So, guys, I mean, in a matter of a day, we saw a shift from the low from eastern Florida to sitting off the coast of northern South Carolina. So, to go out there and say that this won't continue to shift north anymore, that it is pretty much where it will be from here forward, is I think a little foolish for people to be saying right now, considering the shifts. And there's some upper dynamics that are supporting that, which we'll get into here in a second. This is a German model that I've kind of taken a liking to. It does pretty well on the moisture side, the precipitation accumulation, and it does it in centimeters, so we won't break down what the colors mean. But just know that it is supporting the idea of expanding the precipitation field. Go bring it down here to the mid-Atlantic. It is supporting expanding this precipitation field up into northern Virginia, into central Virginia, and obviously you have this bullseye, which we saw on the last GFS run, right here in that central to North Carolina area. I think that's key because this model does a pretty good job in depicting how much moisture will drop. But this was on the last run about 6 hours ago. So I'm expecting this region here, which you see here in northern North Carolina, to make its way up here into central Virginia. And probably by either the next run or the run afterwards. And then the next, this is an SREF plume, basically showing you what 24-hour precipitation rates are. And this blue line was nowhere in Virginia a day ago. It didn't exist. Matter of fact, if I went back and pulled 24 hours ago, I think the very southern part of Virginia was getting that band. So again, a significant shift in another model in a different data set showing a northwest shift. And why is that? Well, once again, this is a 24-hour accumulated QPF, so your precipitation. And look at the shifts north, guys, northwest. I mean, at one point, just 48 hours ago, there was hardly any precip here in southern central Virginia. Now, all of a sudden, it's on the border of receiving 1 inch of precipitation. mainly because of the fact that that low pressure center is deepening a little bit off the coast, and you're also seeing the jet stream help with that. And that's the last thing I want to show you here is why is this happening? Well, if you look right here, this is the 250 millibar wind speeds, and it basically shows you the shift of the jet stream. And what do you notice with this? It's a noticeable negative tilt, but more importantly, it's a noticeable shift northeast, right? Whereas before it was a little flatter, now it's kind of tilting a little bit more to the northwest, and it will be affecting areas to the northeast more as well. And this was run, we'll see, today at noon. I haven't looked at the latest, but the trends have been showing that this turned into an event that was simply just in southern North Carolina to a central Virginia event in about 24 to about 40 hours. And that is a significant shift. This close in the game, I mean, this is going to be happening Saturday. I think by Saturday at noon, most of the snow is going to be on the ground. So we're not talking about an event that's a week out, even 5 days out. This is something that's going to be happening here in the next 48 hours. So I want to make this brief because, like I said, I covered a lot of data here in the short term. I need to really drill down in some of this data because there is one model. Here we go. Like I was showing, the European is still not totally buying this, although it has shifted northwest. Like I said before, it's not totally buying that Northern Virginia is going to get any snow. But tonight's event is overperforming in Maryland, which is notable because the Euro kind of poo-pooed on that idea. So it's overperforming in that respect. And I think that's due to frontogenesis, which is basically feeding off moisture off the coast and then allowing more energy transfer for more snow. So at this point, it's hard to say what Northern Virginia is going to see. But if you are in Southeast Virginia, if you're in the Hampton Roads area, if you're near Wakefield, you're near Williamsburg, anywhere along 64 here, you're going to see a significant event. And it's going to be close to the December 26th, 2010 storm, which I was actually in with my wife and my daughter at the time. We were in a Ford Explorer, and we went to go actually save my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law with my wife. We were down there for Christmas, and they were in a different spot. So neither here nor there. We turned out fine, but it was an interesting event nonetheless. But I bring that up because this is going to be a lot like that event. Quick hit snow, pretty good ratios, 10-to-1 ratio, 12-to-1 ratio possible. But again, we have about 40 hours before this hits. So to go out and say that we're done with the shifts, I think is entirely premature. So that's really much it that I have. Just wanted to show some of the trends right now. I haven't been following this too closely, to be honest, because I didn't see much happening with it. That being said, it's pulled me right in because of the sudden shift into the mid-Atlantic, which I know for a lot of people down south are probably grateful for, because most people down there avoid the snow like the plague. So good luck to you guys. Hopefully you don't get pummeled. At the same time, I think there's going to be a lot of ice with this storm. So that's something to consider as well. So not sure how many people we got on here. I'll open up to questions for anyone. Let me know if you got any questions. And that could be on Facebook, or it could be on YouTube chat as well. I'll pull up Facebook just in case. Yeah, it's acting really weird. Didn't really put an avatar or anything. Okay. Oh. Okay. Stream health wasn't very good. Apologize for that, guys. I'll have to look into that. I'm actually hardwired now, so don't really know what's going on with that either. But I think I pretty much covered it. I don't think there's too much else to cover. But again, any questions about maybe near where you live or other trends I might see, I think I've pretty much covered it. I think the biggest piece of information is the shift in the jet stream being more southwest to northeast, and it's kind of tilting that low pressure center a little bit to favor a northwest track. So a lot to be seen, but at the same time, it is a dynamic situation, far from being over. So, Aaron, you're asking how much more north could this truly shift between now and the start time on Saturday? So, realistically speaking, okay, if we get 2 to 4 inches out of this event, that would be a pretty awesome turnaround in terms of a shift, right? If you're in the business of snow. That being said, and I did mention this to another person that commented, this system itself is pretty weak. It isn't a heavy hitter like Jonas, so let's not get crazy. But if you look at the blizzard that hit Maine and Massachusetts back in 2015, actually almost exactly 2 years ago, that had 150, almost a 200-mile shift east within 24 hours. So New York City locked down like they thought they were going to get a blizzard, right? And I don't know if anyone remembers that, but it was on lockdown. They didn't let anybody on the roads. Manhattan was shut down, and they ended up getting 8 inches when they thought they were going to get like 30. And Boston, who thought they were going to get 8, ended up getting 38. So that was a huge shift. Now, do I think that this is going to happen? No. I don't think that we're going to have that much of a shift northwest. But that being said, the trends within 40 hours are pretty interesting. In upper level dynamics, the jet stream and everything that I showed you guys, it still has the potential to do that if everything falls into place in terms of the low pressure center coming up a little further up the coast, right? So if we go here, this low pressure center that sits right at that North Carolina, South Carolina border would realistically need to be somewhere in this range, which within 48 hours, it's done the same from Florida. But we would need that kind of a shift to get the heavy stuff up in Northwest Virginia. But my personal opinion right now, somewhere along the lines of Williamsburg to Richmond is going to be the epicenter based on what I'm seeing. And that's why I opened with this graphic, because I think National Weather Service and NOAA did this very well. That's really it, guys. Got to keep it simple tonight. I know there's not many questions. I think I was pretty thorough, but I'm gonna check one more time. Laura asked, do you think it's likely the system will trend north during the next model runs? Yes, I do think it will trend north. How far north, we'll see. Not really sure yet. But as I've shown in this live cast, that in the NAM, GFS, the Euro, SREF, the German model that I showed you, from frozen precip to regular precip, there have been shifts northwest. So the trend is there. But how much of that trend actually happens, where, that windshield wiper effect I've talked to you guys about, where, it trends north and maybe south, north and maybe south. I think that kind of windshield wipering was happening down south, and then it shot way up north. We'll see if we get a southern shift in the next runs, but my gut tells me, based on upper level dynamics, it's going to continue to move northwest. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, that's all I have tonight. Any questions, shoot them on my page on Facebook. Thanks again for joining. And if you guys have anything else for me, let me know. But I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks.